The year is 1999. The euro has just been established. Billiam, funky music white boy Clinton, just got acquitted of all of the crimes that got him impeached.
I did sexual relations with that woman.
Bill Gates just became the wealthiest person in the whole world because Microsoft just installed microchips in us all. And Y2K was just about to make all of our computers just punch us in the throats and then blow up or something because the year was going to change all 4 digits and people are stupid. Oh, and you know what else happened? The long-awaited return of Star Wars, the movie franchise that changed the film industry forever. 16 years after the end of the original trilogy, George Lucas and his homies decided it's time to tell some more crazy, wacky stories in the galaxy far, far away. And oh boy, it was quite the doozy. Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about the Star Wars prequels, which, if you watched my last video, you know I got a pretty big soft spot for. And I'm basically just going to comment on them and talk about what they mean to me and just kind of seeing how they hold up now, especially after the recent sequel trilogy. Alright, so in 1999, George Lucas brought back the Star Wars franchise with not just one new movie, but 3 new movies, all about the origins of the most metal dad of all time, Darth Vader. The beginnings of this evil warlord, cyborg wizard man are told in The Phantom Menace when Vader, or Anakin Skywalker, is... Wait, what's that? He's only a side character. An annoying side character, too. So yeah, in the first movie about Anakin's origins, he's a very small child who really doesn't have a very big impact on the story at all. And by the way, I'm aware that Anakin ends up blowing up that weird toilet seat space station at the end, but he didn't even fucking mean to, so that only kinda counts. He straight up accidentally started up the ship that he's sitting in, and then is like, now that I'm in the spaceship, I better go bomb an entire political organization's gigantic spaceship. Imagine being the bad guys in that situation, having to come to terms with the fact that a 9-year-old with magic monster energy blood blew up your super expensive donut in the sky. Aside from Anakin and his weird role in this movie, we're also introduced to some familiar faces. Like Obi-Wan, but young. Or R2-D2, but young. And C-3PO, but young. And Yoda, who is still pretty fucking old. We're also introduced to some new characters, like the Taken Man, Nick Fury, Natalie Portman / Keira Knightley, who doesn't even remember the name of her character, a scary spiky man who does lots of flips, and finally, Jar Jar Binks, everyone's favorite racist caricature. But he's not the only one. Yeesh. Am I right? So, the plot of this movie, and most of the prequel trilogy as a whole, is basically just a giant elaborate setup for the empire of the original trilogy. With boring political move, followed by another boring political move, followed by a weird quantification of the Force with science. Then baby Darth Vader getting adopted by Mr. Taken and Obi-Wan because he's so sick at pod racing, so they see that as an indicator that he is like the perfect person to become a super soldier Jedi. Kind of weird, but alright. Then some foreshadowing about this dude. And honestly, a pretty good setup of Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship in the future. Now, there are a lot of issues with this movie, don't get me wrong. Whether it's the weird pacing, Jar Jar, the lack of effort put into Darth Maul, and immediately killing off one of the coolest characters in the franchise, only to bring him back later on because they realize how stupid they are, but like almost too much. Boring political subplots, Anakin serving little purpose even though he's the main character, Jar Jar, the big war scene being so fucking goofy and hard to take serious, the excessive use of green screen and blue screen when CGI is still pretty rough around the edges, Jar Jar, that weird Yoda puppet that they used only for this movie and never again. Mostly Jar Jar though. Yeah. Despite all the issues that I have with it, this movie still does a pretty good job of expanding the universe of Star Wars to mainstream audiences, using subject matter from all the books and comics that were kind of niche and definitely not familiar to like any passerby fans, other than like the super hardcore Star Wars heads. On top of that, Duel of the Fates is like pretty fucking sick, like so sick, like the best lightsaber fight in all of Star Wars. And John Williams brings it home with the soundtrack like always, so it's not all bad. Like, they made Girl Yoda, bro. And Ki-Adi Mundi. They, like, you know what that means? Like, they made Coneheads canon. Alright, moving on to episode 2, Attack of the Clones. So for this one, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know what to say. So in my opinion, Episode 2 is the worst Star Wars movie, mostly because of how forgettable it is and how awkward the Anakin Padme storyline is. By the way, I don't think I've mentioned the age gap between Anakin and Padme yet, but dude was like 7 or 8 in Episode 1, and I don't know how old Padme was, but she's barely aged since then. So yeah, I don't know what that's all about, but I thought I'd mention it here. Okay, so episode 2 starts off with a storyline about Padme being a target of some bounty hunters, and Anakin and Obi-Wan are basically forced to be her bodyguards to like make sure nothing crazy goes on. But Anakin's super weird about it because he says that he's been thinking about Padme since the end of episode 1, which was the last time they saw each other, but like that was 10 years ago, dude. Like, you didn't think about anything else? Like, dude, get over her. So while these shooters have their sights set on Padme, Obi-Wan makes a discovery about the bounty hunters that leads to him making another discovery, where he finds out that there's an entire gigantic army of clones of shiny silver Boba Fett over here, that was placed in cart by someone in the Galactic Republic or whatever the government is called. I don't fucking know. Which makes him go, what could this be about? Foreshadowing some more political drama that we all loved from episode 1. While all these discoveries were being made by Obi-Wan, and his life was being constantly threatened, Anakin and Padme were on vacation together on a planet of beautiful nature and no conflict. It's in this beautiful oasis of the galaxy that we get one of the most infamous lines from anything from Star Wars. About sand.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. Not like here. Here everything is soft and smooth.
These two then take a little detour to Anakin's home planet of Tatooine because Anakin wanted to see his mom after he had a bad dream about her. He had a bad feeling. Now this this little excursion did not end well because his mom fucking died. Spoilers. Oh, my bad. And then we're shown the dark side of Anakin when he straight up kills an entire village of Tusken Raiders, the native people of Tatooine. He seemed pretty shaken after because he was like, "Oh, I killed all of them, even the children," or something like that, which is like, we'll get back to that later. This sequence kind of only exists to do some more foreshadowing because we definitely need some more of that. Despite, I mean, this is kind of an important foreshadowing moment, but still, way too much foreshadowing. Now the journey of these two lovebirds comes to kind of an abrupt end when they go and try and save Mr. Discovery Channel after he's been captured by Count Dooku. Count Dooku and his gross little bug friends. But it's a trap. So the bad guys make all our friends fight all these crazy monsters in this giant coliseum full of a bunch of bug friends. This whole coliseum scene devolves into a giant lightsaber fan service orgy where the clones finally join the battle. But it's only because Chancellor Palpatine over here somehow got Jar Jar Binks to let him take over like emergency control or something like that over the government, to allow him to like make all these crazy decisions and also like stay in office beyond his term. So then Mace Windu chops off shiny Boba Fett's head, and then baby Boba Fett picks it up and is like, holy fucking shit, my dad. Yeah, I don't know. This whole scene ends with Yoda dropping in off the battle bus, and then they all go fight Count Dooku. That's his real name. Sorry, guys. His real name's not Doo-Doo. Then they all get dismembered and shit. Blah, blah, blah. More boring political shit that we definitely all care about. And then there's this weird scene where they show off the whole clone army, but it looks like a poorly animated or whatever rendered video game. So that's weird. And then there's a wedding between Anakin and Padme, but don't tell anybody, because Jedis aren't supposed to get married or feel things or be human for that matter. So yeah, episode 2 fucking sucks. And it's super boring despite being as convoluted and packed to the brim with random shit as it is. This movie really just accomplishes the same thing as episode 1, except this time with an older main character. And less Jar Jar, so that's a plus. Yeah, good movie. Alright, finally, we're in 2005, and episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, has just released. So this one is by far and undoubtedly the best of the 3 prequels. Oh my god, are you fucking kidding me? So this movie is undoubtedly the best of the 3 prequels, and it's the Star Wars movie that I enjoy the most and that I think about the most on a weekly basis. And whether or not that's because of nostalgia, my Zoomer brain, or me having bad taste, I do not know, nor do I care. I've just always had a real soft spot for this movie. Ever since I was a kid trying to find pirated versions of it online, and eventually having to settle for a Spanish version because I was just so desperate to get my fix in, apparently. I think I like it as much as I do because it's a well-executed conclusion of the trilogy in terms of story, and all the things that were set up way back in the other movies came to a nice, satisfying end, even if the way they were set up was either too drawn out or felt super rushed, like most things in this trilogy. I do believe Revenge of the Sith could have been a standalone movie, and it would still make a lot of sense and it would still hold up. And I also think that would probably make a lot of fanboys like it more. I think there's a lot to like about this movie. It's got almost no Jar Jar. It finally puts General Grievous on the big screen. And I don't care what anyone says. He's definitely like top 3 with like Boba Fett and Darth Maul as like the 3 coolest characters in all of Star Wars. It's always the ones they immediately kill off, huh? This movie also furthers the shift from light to dark in Anakin pretty well, planting seeds of it all throughout the story, whether it's his secret marriage, or his disagreements with the floaty magic council, or Palpatine being a helpless little old man, and needing Anakin to protect him. And then obviously Order 66, which is probably one of the best executed sequences in all of these prequel movies. It's very compelling, and I don't know, something about watching all those Jedis get got by their bros really hits me here. Can't trust nobody these days. And of course, I can't not mention the reason why I kind of did a little foreshadowing myself about the Tusken Raider children. The youngling scene in this one is pretty it really does a great job of hammering home that Anakin has gone full bad boy on us. I also got to give props to the big final fight, which shows more emotion than the entire sequel trilogy, and anyone who disagrees with me is in denial. That scene is so emotional. And how can you not feel Obi-Wan's pain? Dude says, "You are my brother," and Anakin just yells back, "I hate you." Like, 5-year-old me was like, holy shit, dude, this is real. I will also be taking this moment to clown on the no that ends this entire trilogy because it's just so funny. Like, imagine going back to 1977 and telling someone who just saw A New Hope for the first time that they're gonna make Darth Vader scream like a little boy with a pitch down voice to show that he's like fully Vader now. Like that's insane. Like that's Darth Vader origin lore now. Do you think the stormtroopers ever made fun of him for that, or did he just like kill them on sight? Anyways, those are my thoughts on the Star Wars prequels, some of the most influential pieces of media to little baby me. They're definitely given a lot of flack from people, which is usually for good reason, but I think people are a little too harsh. Like, they're not that bad. Like, they don't hold up to the original trilogy standards, of course, but if they weren't Star Wars movies, like, they'd probably be received as pretty standard, mediocre space fantasy movies. It's all just like the original trilogy purists who just hate on anything that isn't those 3 wonderful, perfect movies from the 70s. So yeah, it's kind of, you kind of take what they say with like a bit of a grain of salt. Maybe it's a pretty big grain of salt, but it's still a grain of salt. But at least these movies have ambition and character, and they're fun. You know, they're not masterpieces by any measure, but they're fun. They're fun little movies. Like, so you can see how passionate George Lucas was about the universe and just making sure that these movies were his vision. And it might be the nostalgia talking, but I found these movies very compelling. I mean, albeit mainly Revenge of the Sith, but and the characters, while their dialogue is their writing is well developed and they have interesting character arcs. Wish I could say the same about these guys over here. So yeah, I do plan on making a video like this about the sequel movies, because I definitely have a lot to say about those too. But the original trilogy, I'm not even gonna touch it because, you know, the purists, they love to fucking suck. Am I right? Let's go. Let's go. I do feel like a lot of the takes on the prequels are extremely negative because they compare the prequels to the original trilogy way too much. But call me crazy, if you look at the prequels alone, they're not that bad.
Call me crazy, call me crazy.
What can I say? I'm a prequel stan. I'm a prequel stan, guys. Through it thick and thin, fighting for these prequels. Probably not thick and thin, probably just thin. They're okay. And go ahead, shit on me for being Gen Z. I can take it. I'm not a little bitch. I'm kind of a little bitch. I'm a bit of a bitch. I'm a little bitch. Squishy bitch. Yeah, that's me. Alright guys, I'll see you next time. Smash like and subscribe so you can find my videos easier next time. And yeah, I don't fucking know, man. Show this video to someone who either really likes or really dislikes the prequels. I'm sure that will go very well. But yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go play with my littlest pet shops now. So yeah. Peace out.
Star Wars prequels, you say? Like them you do? Dumb fucking idiot you are.